United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Evening. Need to, I lost my train of thought. I call this meeting of Westmoreland City Council order. Roll call, please.
Newberry.
Aye.
Crowner.
Here.
Heitmeyer.
Here.
Lees.
Here.
Young.
Here.
Need to perfect and approve the agenda.
So moved.
Support.
Motion with support. Any discussion? Roll call.
Crowner.
Aye.
Heitmeyer.
Aye.
Lees.
Aye.
Young.
Aye.
Newberry.
Aye.
Motion carried. Consent agenda.
Motion to approve is presented.
Support. Motion to approve consent agenda items 1 through 10, which are the minutes from the regular city council meeting on December 1st, 2021, the payment to Center State International Trucks, payment to Joint Safety Committee, payment to Brockway Company, payment to Feld Fire, payment to Business Radio Sales and Services, a payment to Iowa Municipal Workers' Compensation Association, payment to River Basin Publication, approve the clerk's monthly financial report for October 2021, and the claims list is presented in the amount of $1,198,575.63. Is there any discussion? Roll call.
Heitmeyer.
Aye.
Lees.
Aye.
Young.
Aye.
Newberry.
Aye.
Crowner.
Aye.
Motion carried. I haven't had a chance to silence my phone. And my door alarm keeps going off. Somebody's trying to break in. There we go. Apologize for that. Staff reports. Greg?
Couple items tonight, Your Honor. January 5th, we're going to have just a closed session and an exempt session. I was thinking if everyone was available that we would do the exempt session ahead of the regular meeting. That way, Councilmember Crowner wouldn't have to stay after the meeting. If that would work for everybody? No objections? That work for you? Right, Johnny? Can't see you. Budget is moving forward with staff as well, and basically Angie and I are diving into that right now, and she's plugging in the numbers. We've I don't know, we're on probably our 4th or 5th round, I think, Angie, aren't we?
Yeah, about that.
I&I, a couple of my items are public works. Mike's not supposed to be here, he's on vacation. But we had an issue come up with, I'll wait till Mike's to come up with that. They did, there was one of our major I&I issues was fixed out at the truck stop out in Mount Pleasant. One of the utility companies had damaged that, and that was discovered earlier. And Miller's had gotten that fixed. Was it yesterday, I think?
Yes.
Yep. And they're going to do some investigation in and around the mall. Sounds like that may be another source of some of our I&I problems. And then we want to talk a little bit about Mount Pleasant and Gear Avenue. I'll wait for Public Works to go into that item, though. That's all for tonight, Your Honor.
You got those figures, Greg, on that, if you want to go ahead with that.
Okay.
I don't have those with me.
Sounds good. So as you know, I mentioned in one of my updates, recently Boomerang showed up to start working on the water main portion of the tower project. As part of that project, originally there was going to be a casing laid across Gear Avenue, heading east and west, but I guess heading west. And the water main was going to be installed in that casing. That casing was going to be bored under Gear Avenue, and the water main installed inside that casing. They were having some trouble locating a 12-inch main that runs north-south and intersects with that main. At the same time, there are valves on either side of the main that runs along Mount Pleasant Street and eventually hooks up with the water that we receive from Burlington. Those valves are valves that we were planning to install. The cost has gone up on those substantially. Troy had gotten an additional cost of $34,000 or $36,000 from another vendor in town. Boomerang has indicated the cost would be about $40,000 for them to do it while on site. And I'll let Mike touch on why those valves are important. What we're looking at doing at this point in time is not doing the casing at this particular location. The reason we originally were going to do the casing is so that we didn't have to dig up the street down the road. The other locations for casings along this project are going to be new portions of the street. However, this section is not new. If we don't do the casing, we'll save about $32,000. By doing the valves now, that cost us $40,000. It'd be about a net positive, about $8,000 in additional cost, rather than having the city having to go back in, tear back up in the spring and redo it. So we're looking to have Boomerang do a change order for an additional $40,000, a savings of $32,000, and proceed. They're looking to start it now at this point in time because they're on site, rather than come back and having to dig it up later. They're mobilized and on site, which would cost additional at a later date. And
that cost from the other, where Troy got his quote from, that was us digging them back up later with all the other utilities there, and that was just their cost. So you were going to end up the same amount as what Boomerang. And the problem is there's 4 to 5 fibers that were added since they bid this job that were put in this summer. You got high pressure gas going down the center of gear. You got our 12-inch water main that feeds down gear. You have 2 traffic signal light poles. You have utility poles. You have a traffic light box mounted. They're just out of room to try and get in here. That's one of the main reasons they're not going to do the casing, because they'd have to have such a big hole, and they would probably end up taking out part of Deary's ground, and we'd be out of our right-of-way to actually get this in. And they'd have to add casings going west out under all the other utilities so that we didn't have to dig them back up the next time. And the point of doing these valves now is they're going to have them exposed with the holes they're going to have. So it's the time to address that and get it. The valves that are on that line are out in the concrete street. Those are old valves that don't function. I can't give you the year, but it's probably been 7-9 years ago. That main broke there. I was gone at the time. I wasn't on the job site, but they had to shut the water down in the middle of the night, notify the hospital and all the residents, and Beaverdale was out, and our crew went out at 11 o'clock or something, I believe, and we worked on it till 2 or 3 in the morning because of no way of shutting it down over there. So these valves need to be fixed so that, just like the other ones I've been fixing in town all summer, so we can isolate if we have a main and not kill everybody down. It is the main line that heads west. It feeds Beaverdale and everybody out west, and there's no way to shut it down at that point in that intersection right now because those valves are locked in the open position and you can't get them to turn.
What was the main reason for doing the casing in the first place?
Every time we go under a road, it's just what they all do anymore, because if that main was to break under the road, you could dig up on the side, pull the main out, and then shove new main in and not have to disturb your road bed.
So are we causing ourselves a problem a couple of years from now?
No, because most of the time that was ductile lines that cracked. We're using our PVC, our C900. That'll all be pressure tested, and so we'll know all the gaskets are in and everything's sealed. I have not, in my 26 years, seen a 4, 6, 8, 12-inch PVC break or any issues with it. And I've been here 26 years. And we were laying water main when I started, so I'm not saying it can't happen, but the probability of it's, and if it does, then we just have to saw the street and cut the street and then pour the street back.
Then my question is, you said further to the west, we still have an area that will have casing on it?
we have 2 areas that will have casing. There's an area across Mount Pleasant Street that will have casing, but that's going to be, actually that project is on here tonight. and that'll be a new section of street that'll still have casing underneath it. So we want to make sure that we keep that casing in place. And then on North Gear by the Public Works facility, there are 3 areas with casing that we want to keep in place because that creek is relatively new, and we don't want to have to tear that up.
That would be Washington, not North
Oh,
Gear.
I'm sorry, I said Washington. Yeah, Washington, not North.
Because the new main will go all the way down the south side of Mount Pleasant. When you get to our shop, then the casing will be under both lanes and median to run it to the tower. But before you get to the tower, then it has to cross Washington, and then when you have your feed line that comes back across and comes back out to Mount Pleasant and ties back into the existing 12 that feeds out to the west.
And that main won't be the same material as what you just
The
told me?
same exact main.
Okay, so where my disconnect is, you're telling me I don't need it here because it never breaks, but I need it down here.
I'm not saying you don't. In this situation with all the utilities, and to get that in there, the cost is going to be, we got to add 20 or 30 more foot of it, and it's going to raise the cost of the price even more for the project. Potentially, it's probably best to have it in there, but I have not seen an issue with it. They just do it under all roads, all construction anymore, so that you don't, they did it over at Walmart years ago before Walmart was built, when they came from the south side of Agency. There's a casing across there where the main comes through.
There's another factor as well. On Gear, we have the ability to, when we open cut that, to keep the road open, do half of it at a time if we need to. On Washington, that's a narrower road, and it's harder to get to that back portion of the road easily. We'd probably have to close that section of the road down if we were going to open cut that area. Makes it a little bit more difficult to keep that road open, so it makes more sense to keep that casing in place there. Wanted to give you a heads up. We thought need to bring this change order forward. You'll likely see it at January 5th council meeting. $40,000 increase, $30,000 deduct, net $8,000.
Any questions for Greg? Mike, you got anything else?
Tower, they're done welding the tops on. It passed its pressure test. They'll be back in the spring to paint the lid and the inside of the tank. Electricians, I was told, will be moving in next to start wiring and hanging boxes and stuff for pumps and things like that. Guys been raising manholes that were too low. We found, like I said, the sewer jetting's done. We've got everything jetted. And hopefully we're not out the next 2 days cleaning up trees after the wind and stuff tonight.
How'd that sewer jetting go? Did you find a lot of problems?
A lot of stuff that was plugged that was close to being an issue. Yeah, we found lots of blockages and stuff that was setting up. We found some other issues, some that we got to get addressed, and different manholes that need grouted. And
Anybody have anything for Mike? Jesse?
Couple things. Bruce graduates this Friday from the Iowa Law Enforcement Academy. At 2 p.m. I will be up there for that graduation. The homicide that we had over at Packline Park, the juvenile was waived to adult court earlier this week, so that's good news for the victim's family and all the hard work that we put in. And the reporting system that I've been talking about since the last budget year, we are in the process of moving forward with that budget item for this year. I spoke with our main guy through Motorola, who we are buying the program through, all departments, Des Moines County Sheriff's Department, Des Moines County Dispatch, DESCOM, and then Burlington Police Department and Westmoreland Police Department. We're all moving forward with that. We have $20,000 in this year's budget, and that was just kind of a starting thing, and our total came to $70,000. We're 10% of the bill, so we'll be looking at budget times coming up in January to finish that project off for next budget year. I just wanted to kind of keep you updated on how things are going with that. As of last January, again, it's difficult to totally know what the total was, but with us paying 10% of it, because that's the amount of users that we have compared to everybody else, it came in at $70,000 for us. So it's a good project. It needs to be done, and just trying to keep you guys updated with that.
Anybody have anything for Jess?
Just one question, I'm not sure if I ever asked this on the software, will you need any additional hardware with that?
No, we will do a maintenance fee, but we have a maintenance fee now with the current Shieldware. They just haven't kept up on their project, and I passed on everything last week with Greg with the Motorola and what it all is providing. So I don't know if he passed that out last week or we'll have it for
I have it in the
budget.
capital equipment.
Capital
With
improvement.
the budget.
Yeah, so it explains everything in there, but we'll just have our annual maintenance fee from years 2 to 10, and it's already all spelled out in that.
Thanks.
Sean?
Building side, noticed several of the nuisances that I put notice out to have taken care of themselves. There is the one that I indicated in my update. He has until the 20th. On the fire side, been rather busy lately. We had the fire on Saturday that I notified you about, and then since then we've been going to Burlington, either in Burlington or out in the county to assist them on fires. We've had one every day since. So kind of hope that string stops. Engine 3, we did the maintenance on that. It does need new brakes. They noticed when they were doing the regular preventative maintenance that the brakes are bad. So we're going to take it out on Friday. They're going to look at it, get an idea of what parts are going to be necessary. Start that. It's got 21,011 miles on it. Doesn't sound like a lot when you talk about, when on your personal vehicle, you're not putting brakes on that much, but we're talking a vehicle that weighs close to 45,000 pounds that's running emergent and then having to stop and go. Jesse and I and a few other guys couldn't remember the last time we actually had to put brakes on a fire truck, so this is kind of like a first for us. Other than that, things are going pretty smooth. Do you have any questions for me?
How's Spring Street house doing? The Spring Street house?
Yeah. Like I said last time, they've got it habitable. I'm not at the point, I don't go back for any more inspections. They're
No new complaints, new concerns, nothing? It looks good from what you can see.
Complaints come in on that. Concern-wise, I pretty well spelled it out to them. I don't want to have concerns.
Super, you bet, you bet. Thank you.
Any other questions? Kelly, you got anything going on?
No, I just want to thank you for all the years. I've been here for 30 and I've worked with you for 28 years. And you were on the fire department the 2 years that I wasn't working with you at City Hall, so.
We grew up together, right?
Yeah, you just didn't stay as long.
No, I think it was a very wise choice council at the time made to promote you to clerk.
And all those people you talked about, Vi and Doris, I worked with all of them, so.
All righty. Angie, you got anything?
Nope.
Kathy, you got anything going on?
No, thank you.
Andy?
Two things, please. Just number one, to say thank you, Hans, and thank you, Royce, for your service. Hans, I was in high school when you first became mayor, so.
You were still in elementary school.
I remember 94, right? So
12 years old, I think.
yeah, so 14, yeah, middle school. So I've pretty much grown up with you as mayor, and of course was with your son Brandon in school, and so knew you pretty well as just a little kid. So as Greg kind of alluded to, we don't always see eye to eye, but I have always known in every discussion that you've had the best interest of the city at heart. And so thank you very much for your leadership all these years.
Thanks for the kind words.
I would like to ask, I know I mentioned it last time, that I just kind of get a head nod on 4th of July for next year. I do need to get entertainment booked if we are going to have it. Now is about the time you start booking for the summer. So if that's okay, I'd like to just kind of know if I have to go ahead.
And I told you the wrong number, it's 45 that's in the budget. We kept it the same unless you want changes.
Shouldn't?
I think you need to have it. Great day, celebrate.
Council, everybody okay with going ahead next year? Okay.
Go for it.
We'll start planning. Thank you very much.
Royce?
I'd like, thank everybody for working with me. Congratulations to you and good luck on yours. And it was fun and working with everybody, enjoyment. And so good luck to everyone and keep up the good work.
Great wood. All righty. Reese?
Well, where do I begin?
Well, let's go back to high school.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's do that. You were the weird kid that came in on 8th grade.
Ninth.
And we all graduated together, we all hung around together. And he was on council when I first got on council, and he was the first person to ever call any of us council members chicken shit. And I'm thinking, all right.
Did you get that from Greg? Did he tell you that story?
No, that was when Mayor Logan was in charge, and you were ticked, and you called us chicken shits, and you walked out, but we stayed. And the other argument, and I'm glad you noted that I am the better half for you, as well as Deb at home, but I can remember days of not talking to you and the arguments we had about buying Burlington water. What a fiasco that was.
Yes.
But I won.
That's right, you did. And I admitted that I made 2 mistakes. And that was one of them. And I won't tell you what the other one was. I admit that openly in public.
Well, there was many council meetings. It was just like, but I'm glad we were able to work together through all that stuff and work for the benefit of the city of West Burlington. And I think without your leadership, as well as with many council people I have worked with, we've gotten a lot of stuff done for our little community, and we should be darn proud. Maybe we should call this Trousel Drive out here.
No, I didn't even mention that part. I have a few citizens that already named things after me.
Anyway, Hans, it's been fun, and I have enjoyed working with you.
And so have I. And I will miss you. I might even watch you.
Okay.
Well,
Couple quick things, just, Greg, the DOT meeting, did that happen with the stormwater thing? I thought, and maybe my timing's off.
Next week.
That's next week that they're gonna get with you and see what they
Mike
can
was on vacation this week,
do. Cool, gotcha,
and
okay.
Mike had to leave because there is a tree down already.
Oh, geez, yeah, and the weather started, didn't it? Gotcha. Saturday, I just wanted to point out that a couple of us attended a Iowa League of Cities training workshop up in Cedar Rapids. Ron Teeter, Kathy, and Johnny and I were all up there. So that was good to meet people from other cities and learn even more how we're supposed to be most effective in our roles.
I hope you all get involved with the league. I mean, I learned a lot. I was on the exec board for 4 years, and it was eye-opening, what the league does for the communities.
Well, it's neat to see just what's going on here, what's going on in other cities, and compare and contrast and get ideas. And finally, Hans, thank you very much.
Well, thank you.
Thank you for visiting with me over the years, but most recently in July when I said, hey, what do you think? I know you're not going far. I know where you live, and I can walk there. So thank you, and looking forward to sharing more ideas.
I am changing the clock.
Oh.
The doorbell.
Gotcha. Okay. Thank you.
Alrighty. All right, we'll go to anyone wishing to address the council on matters that are not on the agenda tonight. Here's your chance. Well, we'll go to new business, and item number 1 is to review the financial audit for fiscal year 2020-2021. And hi there.
Tracy Floyd with CPA Associates. We finalized the audit report today. You should all have a copy of the blue binder. Your copy looks nicer than mine. It was pretty routine in terms of our findings that we have. I know that's kind of where everybody likes to talk, but Greg and Angie and Kelly all helped us out, and we worked through the changes in staff and whatnot, and we're able to get all of our work done. In terms of findings, we had segregation of duties finding, which is,
Always.
yep, typical with the size. Once again, we just want to make sure that you just know to continue to have some oversight and staff and what everyone's working on, and like, review bank statements and things like that, and just continue to have that. That's what you can do with this city of this size. So we had a recommendation. There's a related party contract that we're required to look at related parties, and there's one contract that hadn't gone out for bid for several years. So just have a recommendation to consider doing that every year or reviewing it at least. So there was one issue with the council minutes, just the code section for the closed session referenced the wrong Iowa code, so minor, but we're required to report it, so sorry about that, Kelly. And then in terms of your sewer revenue bonds, we had two findings related to that, related to the parity obligations required by the revenue bonds. So they're required to have 110% of the principal and interest that are due in the same year that needs to be set aside, or you need to have net revenues equal to 110% of the principal and interest due within that year, and you didn't meet that obligation. So in order to do that, you'll have to continue to raise your sewer fees in order to increase your revenues to meet that obligation.
And that's one of those that, it's a guesstimate, because,
Right.
you don't know what you're going to sell on water.
And you're continuing
based.
to increase them every year, so, I mean, you've had a rate increase, it just has to catch up to it, so. The other thing was related to the sewer sinking fund. The principal and interest due within the 12 months has to be set aside in a separate account, and the amount that was set aside was not equivalent to the amount that needed to be, so I think those things have been corrected and will be correct for next year, so. Otherwise, we had one other finding related to a delinquent account related to a council member or a employee. We're required to disclose that as well. Want to let you know that you guys are the representation for the city and all your citizens, so set an example for them. And then you also had a letter with it. It just says that we had compliance with all of our questions got answered, and we agreed with all the adjustments that we made, which were just reclass entries, and then and all your staff that helped us. So, any questions for me?
Tracy, do we actually have to go out for bids, or can we just get quotes
For what?
for this
audit
one,
report?
for the business?
If you look at the answer we supplied,
You haven't
we
had.
said we would consider going out for bids. The cost hasn't increased since we went out for bids. We did a little research on that. There's really no requirement that we go out for bids.
It's just
It was a suggestion in the audit. That's really all it is.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's just because it's related party is why
Right.
we're picking on you, because
get
the
it.
dollar amount is not required to go out for bid. It's due to the related party nature.
And the other two, I'd asked, and the other two firms, the service was poor at the time. There may be others at this point in time, but there's been good service and no increase in fees over that time period, so no reason to change.
I had read through the initial document that was sent out a week ago or so, or have there been many changes in this that we just received?
No,
Okay.
no.
Yeah,
I
thank
think
you.
there, maybe a paragraph or something was added, but other than that, it was minor.
Okay, thank you.
What's your pleasure? Need a motion to accept the annual finance report?
Support.
Motion with support. Any further discussion? Roll call.
Lees,
Aye.
Young,
Aye.
Newberry. Aye. Crowner,
Aye.
Hightmeyer.
Aye.
Carried. Thanks for being so patient.
Thank you.
Item number 2 is to consider renewal of property and casualty insurance with Oral Insurance Associates, formerly Two Rivers, for January 1st through December 31st, 2022. Cody?
Greetings, everyone. I think I introduced myself to most of you who I had not met yet, but my name is Cody Van Fleet. I am the Vice President of Commercial Lines for what we are now calling World Insurance Associates, formerly Two Rivers Insurance. I have met with Greg and Angela and Kelly here over the last month to go over your property casualty renewal, which includes your property, general liability, auto, and also your what we call the fire pack. You have 2 separate policies that are renewing on January 1. One is what we call the fire pack, so that's your package policy for the fire department. And then the rest of the policy, which is what we call the city pack. The only other policy that you have for your insurance is your workers' compensation policy, which renews on July 1 every year. And that is through what we call the IMWCA, which is a state-ran pool policy. For what you have received here over the, I believe the last 24 hours, is 3 attachments. One is the proposal that we have given to you for both the fire pack and the city pack policy. The other was what we sent out for what we thought would be a good budgeting guide for both Angela and Greg to try to figure out what we think the insurance numbers would look at like for all 3 lines. And then finally was a 1-page letter that I always like to provide to the city manager going over insurance premiums, what's going on within these documents, so that way you have a better understanding of what's going on. Long story short, the policy package has gone up about 9%, which has been right in line with what we're seeing across the state of Iowa due to increases in property, auto, liability, and umbrella rates. However, your workers' compensation policy has dropped here last July dramatically due to what we call the XMOD score, which dropped down to 0.92, down from a 1.35. What that means is you are now 8% below average or better than average on your workers' compensation claims. And what that does is give you a discount of 8% on your workers' compensation insurance instead of a 35% debit that was then added to your standard flat rates. With that being said, we feel that your total package will go down about 7.65% for the calendar year upcoming. The carriers that we have you with have been a good partner. I feel like they do a good job of handling claims. And I feel like your workers' compensation policy that we have with IMWCA has also been a good partner for us. So do any of you have any questions or concerns about any of the policies that we have?
My only question was on the pool side of things, if there was anything we needed to change this year based on any changes with the Y agreement.
So that's something that we have. So what we did was we removed the YMCA as an additional insured. And then if and when the time comes that you have an agreement with anybody else that as far as lifeguards, or if you take it on yourselves, we will make that correction. But we have removed, for January 1, we have removed the YMCA as an additional insured due to that change. So, yep.
So if I got it right, the increase of 6,000, decrease of 33,000, so but net effect 27,000 decrease in insurance premiums.
Well,
I'm looking at it wrong.
yeah, so, and this is, what we looked at was, since the policy, the workers' compensation is a 12-month policy that renews on July 1, we factored in half of the previous year's workers' compensation. So the document that I put in here, if you see it says 6 months, I basically took half of that. So that it's not quite as big of a decrease. It's actually a decrease of, from 140,478 to 129,731. And that's because half of your workers' comp from the previous year was started in 2019. So you would have paid half of that in 2019. So, so that's why it's not quite as large of a decrease as that 27,000 number. Does that make sense?
Kind of. I'm just going on the letter dated December 8th that you include in the packet. That's what I was using the math.
Yeah.
Maybe that was,
It's on calendar year,
Sure.
it's on fiscal year.
excuse me, yeah, fiscal year, calendar year, that's where.
Yes, and that's
where I'm
the difference.
crossing
Yeah.
out. Okay,
Yep.
okay, that makes sense then.
So the state pool that run, they renew everybody on July 1.
Okay.
So it's not something where we can move that date to January 1 and have it all renew at the same time on the calendar year.
Okay.
And those, just for the upcoming July 1 for 2022, those, and I believe I put this in the budgeting guide attachment, we are expecting about a 5% decrease in workers' compensation rates across the state. We already know that your mod is going to uptick just a little bit, and that's just due to some changes in the NCCI rating systems. But 5% rate down based on what your increases are in payrolls. We're not expecting any major changes to your workers' compensation premium for 2022 to 2023.
Any other questions, comments? Need a motion to approve.
I will motion to approve the renewals, or we're just doing the two tonight then?
Yes.
Okay. Both of those programs, and I think we should get it done before the windstorm.
I second.
Motion with support. Any further discussion? Roll call.
Young,
Aye.
Newberry,
Aye.
Crowner,
Aye.
Hightmeyer.
Aye.
Lees.
Aye.
Motion carried.
And
Thanks, Cody.
to Royce and to Hans, it's been a pleasure. Thank you very much for your guys' support. Look forward to working with you. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Item number 3 is to consider renewal of the employee wellness program for 2022. Tara's here.
Good evening, guys. There's two of you that I don't think know me. Melanie, hi, I'm Tara Eaton, and Kathy. So I am a wellness specialist at Southeast Iowa Regional Medical Center. Big, long name now. So I do the wellness program and have been doing the wellness program now for a few years. So you guys should have the outcomes and proposal in front of you. So kind of go through a little bit of what's happened in 2021. We started with 16 employees between both the administration, public works site, and police officers that started, but then we dropped 3, so that left us with just 13 employees completing the wellness program entirely. We did have an additional employee that was not in the wellness program that did go through with the wellness screening, and that person will be wanting to join for the next year, which is great. So if you can kind of look and see, we did have 8 employees that passed 3 or more biometric markers based on metabolic syndrome. And the chart below shows the indicators of what metabolic syndrome would look like. Last year we had 6, so that's a nice little uptick. So we had 2 extras this year. We did have 3 employees that improved their biometrics by at least 10% from last year, which is the same as the previous year, and then 3 of them did not pass their biometrics nor improve from the previous year. So you can kind of see I've laid out the last 4 years with you guys what those biometric values look like. So basically metabolic syndrome is a cluster of symptoms that are 3 or more risk factors of the following. So blood pressure greater than 130/85, high density lipoprotein less than 40 in men, less than 50 in females, and LDL is not in there, but I threw it in there. Triglycerides greater than 150, glucose greater than 99, and then waist circumference greater than 35 inches for females or greater than 40 inches for males. So looking over at the column of 2021, we did have the 14 employees complete the screening, and you'll notice that really they didn't change a whole lot from the past couple of years. Granted, we did have 2 extra employees, so from last year, so that's why you might see maybe 1 extra thrown in there with a little bit higher category. But really, I feel like they've stayed relatively the same, which is a great thing. We do have an older population. Several will be retiring soon, so that's great that we're not seeing those, not older, I'm not, you're good, you're good. Those that will be retiring probably in a couple of years. And it's great to see that those numbers have not increased, because typically we do see blood pressure increase, blood glucoses increase as well. And so I'm good with these. In terms of preventative care completion, we had, well, I shouldn't say we only, but 5 did complete annual exams that turned them in, so it's wonderful. Last year we had 3, and I know that COVID was a big problem with that. People just couldn't get into their doctors, and I know that's still kind of an issue, getting into doctors. So I'm glad to see that a little bit more we're taking care of doing that. And we did have 6 employees in the wellness program actually turn in more than just an annual exam. So dental, vision, flu shots, so forth, okay? In terms of participation of activities, so we've got educations that happen every 3rd month. Then we have walks that happen every month, so we have 30 minutes of those. So you can kind of see that the participation was a little bit better, I think, for this year. I think a little bit more people were apt to get out just because of, 2020. So I'm good with the participation. It may not be as great as we would love it to be, but honestly, it's hard. Police officers get a call, they can't go out to the walk. If Public Works, line breaks, which happens a lot, they're out fixing those things, and they don't just come to the walk. But they're able to obviously do that on their own time. The second page shows the challenges, so I've got different challenges for each year. Participation for those, not strong, and I know that some of those challenges, they didn't quite like the topics, so they just weren't as interested in nutrition or yoga, which is fine, it's fine, but ultimately, we did have a lot of participation elsewhere in the program. So I don't know if you read the program summary, but really, the people who are in the program, they're working towards their wellness. They're working towards improving it. It's not just, showing the participation of the challenges. They're texting me or emailing me. We have conversations. What can I do to improve myself? Things of that manner. The police officers have been fantastic. I think they are really starting to pull in and take charge of it a little bit more. We're seeing a cutback of public workers, so the shop guys are losing interest a little bit, and so we've seen a shift in the wellness program, I would think, in the last year or so. But honestly, the police officers, they do fitness testing every year, and they're improving their fitness continually. So we do 2 assessments, one in May, one in September. The one in May, we piggyback off because they get a day of PTO if they pass at a 40% minimum of ILEA standards for push-ups, sit-ups, 1 mile run, but they took out sit and reach, so that's no longer in there. But you can see that based on those, they've had improvements. And we have our own fitness kind of battery of tests that are performance-based, such as a vertical jump, agility run, that's based on a police officer. We do a 300-meter sprint, and then we do a 1 repetition leg press strength assessment. And majority of them improved. I mean, in fact, the numbers are very similar as they were last year. So It's good to see that our officers are still trying to maintain their physical work performance, because that really does help keep work injuries down as much as we would like them to be. The administrative side, they have their own program outside of that. So they did a wellness program that focused on 6 weeks of a new component. We only had 3 out of 6 employees complete that program. So I'm not sure of why the others didn't, but of those that did turn it in, they tracked really well. So long story short, you know, we've got 9 out of 13 of the employees that were participating in the program receiving a reward this year. We've got more hitting the top tier. So this year we've got 2 administration side and 2 officers, whereas last year we only had 2 officers. Tier 2, we've got 1 administration side and 2 officers, and last year we had 2 admins. Tier 3, we've got 1 officer, and last year we had 2 officers and 1 admin. Tier 4, no one hit, and that was the same for the previous year. And then Tier 5, we have 1 officer, and then last year we had 1 admin. So we've got way more officers this year getting rewards than the administrative side. So overall, I mean, I think it was relatively a good program for most of them for what we did. Biometrics, of course, stayed relatively the same, which is what we want, or even to improve. And so I created a new wellness program proposal for you guys to look over. Basically, what we did was we sat down, we talked about what would be of interest should you guys approve it for next year. We are going to hit more on the emphasis of fitness because that seems to be what most people are interested in doing. And so majority of the quarterly programs you'll see are fitness-based activities. And that's why the officers love it so much. And some of the administration side is really into it, plus some other tidbits. Overall, with the budget did go up just a little bit, and that is because we've got several more people participating. And in fact, I think for you guys on yours, it says 11 current employees and 3 new employees. Another employee has now just requested to join it. So that would mean that we'd have 11 current and 4 new employees. So that budget will go up just a smidge based on wellness screenings. And then we just had a slight increase, you know, of the quarterly program and police independent program. So last year we were at $29.45 for roughly 13 or 16, I think, total. And then this year we're at $3,465 for the entire year. And then you can read below what our plan is for each quarter should you approve it. So do you guys have any questions regarding what we did this year?
How do you administer? Do you come here and talk
Yep.
to everybody and
Yep.
run the,
So-
so you're the one physically?
I'm it, yep.
Okay,
So
gotcha.
I'm coming, I have almost everyone's cell phone, I text everyone,
Okay.
I'm emailing them, sometimes they're calling me, you know, and so I'm typically the one that they do face-to-face. They don't really see anybody else, and we do everything mostly here on site. Yeah.
2 questions. The number of employees that completed the wellness screening
Yeah.
here just last month, I'm seeing is 13 kind of plus 1, so 14.
Yeah.
What's our total out of that? How many people do we have not even doing the wellness screening?
That I'm unsure of. I don't know what total employees we have.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 2 or 24, I believe.
About 50%. About
I don't have a
50%.
number right in front of me.
Okay.
If you give me just a second, I can tell you.
Okay, I'll move on to the second question while that's working.
Yeah.
Do you have programs at other employers where they offer wellness screening to spouses that are on the insurance of the employer?
Yes.
Okay, and is that kind of an equivalent cost if we added that in?
So basically, all you would need to do is just take the line item where it says like for one, right? So it's $70 for one screening, and however many spouses you want added, that could just be added into it. I have 2 companies also that do spousal. One offers a reward, one does not. But it's like a freebie basically, because they understand that those who have spouses on their insurance, that's where the bulk of their healthcare costs are from.
Yeah.
So they go ahead and they just allow spouses to participate in the wellness screenings. They can participate in the wellness program should they want. They have free access to it, but they just don't receive a reward at the end. Only employee is. And then I have one company that does give a reward. So they kind of piecemeal. It's like a la carte. So if a spouse does a wellness screening, they get this much. If the spouse does a health survey, they get this much. If the spouse is nicotine-free, they get this much. So it's all dependent upon the employer.
Do we know, Greg, our total number of people on a employee plus spouse or employee plus family insurance plan through the city?
Well, we have 3 grandfathered on the employee, well, no, wait a second. That's either employee child or employee spouse. We had 3 grandfathered. I couldn't tell you the separation right now. Angie might be able to. Going forward, we only have spouse, employee or employee/family numbers. I mean, we could have to pull the insurance information for you.
Okay,
Not a bad idea.
5 or 6
Not a bad
rough
idea.
guess
You mean for family?
of spouses that would be under our insurance?
Oh, no. There's more than that.
More than that, you think?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, absolutely. But whether they participate or not.
right.
My wife, for example, is a nurse at the hospital. They have their own program.
Right.
Right. So, trying to think back to participation rates. Previous employer had it, and our participation rate was probably 10 to 15%.
Yeah.
There's
Just because this-
27 employees, 2 part-time people included in that number.
Angie, I didn't hear you. What'd you say?
There's 27, 2 are part-time.
Okay, thank you.
That does not include the fire department.
And typically only that low, only because they're, bless you, only because their employer provided it typically.
Well,
But good idea.
I would like to see, number one, I really want to get that number up to 100% of our employees going to that wellness screening. And if that means that we have to change something on our end from a contractual standpoint at some point in time, I'm in favor of it. Number 2, I'd like to offer that myself for free to the spouses that are on the insurance that we are providing. I think it's important that you're never going to manage something if you're not measuring it. And I truly believe that, and so I think we at least need to give them the opportunity to have that wellness screening if they want to have it, and I would really encourage our employees to get it. That's where I would be.
I agree. I think it's a cost saver in the end on the insurance side. Absolutely.
We may have to change some things to get certain people to do it. I will say that. Just from some pushback, maybe a little bit. Yeah.
What do you mean by that?
Yeah,
Like
you're in or are in.
companies?
Yeah.
I would say that there are certain employees that I don't think value the idea of knowing their own health. I think there might be a couple of those. And I think there's a couple that they just don't really care. I know we've really tried to push it and we've sent out emails, mass emails to everybody, letting them know that you don't have to participate in the wellness program. You can get the wellness screening. But I'm unsure if there might be a couple that just flat out don't care.
Maybe if their spouses find out that they're eligible to do it,
That might be
they
a
might
good little
push it.
push. That might be a good little push.
I agree with Andy. I think you ought to open it up to, to spouses also.
Be pretty easy to send out an email. We could get a budget number pretty quickly, I would think.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, so.
Yeah.
I think it's a good idea.
Bingo?
Thanks, Mayor. I also want to make sure that Tara doesn't go into a little bit of detail, but I've had 2 serious injuries in the last 3 years. And because of Tara helping me out, getting the right therapist, the right people, and I was able to recover from my injuries fairly quickly. And it also helps that, like, Chief Logan and Tara, they just don't talk about it. They're actually there, they're leading us. And that's good leadership for us, particularly for the officers.
Yeah.
I've been involved in physical fitness my whole life. Now I can say actually decades, but and it helps at the end, and with Tara pushing and prodding and answering questions and being there for preventive injuries, you know, like we just talked about the insurance before, I know it's a win for us, for everybody.
Well, I like Andy's idea. I love that everybody doing it, plus the spouses who are covered by our insurance. So maybe we just get a renewed energy put towards it this year and look at it that way. Yeah, all I've heard is positive things, and it only helps our insurance if people are happy, and it's happier people if they're healthy.
Yes. I don't know if this matters or not, but is there a way if, let's say, we had more people participate in the wellness screening, does that do something with the insurance? Because I know there's certain companies that if they are showing that they're actively working towards a better wellness state, does it help with insurance costs of some sort?
No, we're not with our program in our
Okay.
pool. They are coming by tomorrow. I'll confirm that just to be sure, but I don't believe so. But I mean, just on the cost side and on the experience side, you know, that certainly helps. But you know, we're part of a large pool. But anytime we can keep our experience down,
Yeah.
and keep our folks just keep our folks healthy and on the job, you know, and returning to work faster. I absolutely agree, 100%. I've only heard great stories, anecdotal information, folks that have quit smoking, lost weight, gotten back on the job quicker. I've heard a lot of great stories in just a short amount of time. So,
Thank you. Anything else you can think of?
So do you want to just make a motion to that effect, to go with the program and then include the spouses?
Do that, yep. So I'll motion to approve the renewal of the program with the addition of opening up the wellness screenings to spouses that are on our insurance.
Support.
Motion with support. Any further discussion?
Andy, I think there's 15 spouses.
Roll call.
Newberry. Aye. Crowner.
Aye.
Hightmeyer.
Aye.
Lees.
Aye.
Young.
Aye.
Motion carried. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Tara.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Bye, Merry
Thanks,
Christmas.
Same to you. Item number 4 is to consider payment to Snyder and Associates for engineering services related to the following project: the Lewis Park Water Restoration Sponsored Project in the amount of $1,206.08.
I want to just ask a quick question. Is there a problem with the work that they did over there on Lewis Park?
Yeah.
Or not Snyder's, but the people did the work, it seemed in one of your notes, one of your updates, that we were concerned that the brick wasn't doing what it was supposed to.
it wasn't a problem with their work. It was storm related. While the project was under their control. So while the project is under the contractor's control, it's essentially like it's their property.
Yes.
So there's really 2 items that are remaining. One is some reseeding in the spring, although they did it late, it took off pretty well. Mike pulled up the netting, and on the grass underneath had taken off pretty well. There's one change order that's forthcoming that'll take the concrete matting, that'll repair the concrete matting on the one side where the water had gone up behind it and gone in behind it, but it'll take it all the way to the bridge on both sides. And that was recommended by DNR after seeing the results from the
6-inch rain we had.
yeah. And so that's all that's left for that project. And then they're still trying to work with DNR to see if we can do an amendment, if there's anything worthwhile to do an amendment with that project. To that amendment would be basically free dollars, the interest off of our project. The problem is stormwater related projects are not clean water projects, and it's very difficult to convince them that they are. So we continue to work on that, but there's just those 2 items that are left. Okay. So, and just some minor, and I think they were included in the last update. There was 4 or 5 punch list items, cleaning out some of the bricks, replacing a couple of the bricks. That's about it, you know.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks.
Yep.
Anybody want to make a motion?
A motion to pay the invoice of Schneider's.
Motion with support. Any further discussion? Roll call.
Crowner,
Aye.
Knightmeyer,
Aye.
Lees,
Aye.
Young,
Aye.
Newberry.
Aye.
Motion carried. Number 5 is consider resolution hiring Alexander Beard and Matthew Reynolds as firefighters.
So moved.
Support.
Motion with support. Matthew, thank you for your wanting to join and for being on the department.
Thanks, Matthew.
Thank you.
Like,
You want to tell us about yourself?
Well, I've born and raised here, Burlington, but work in West Burlington. Been driving tow truck in this area for most of my life. Started when I was 13. Driving the big trucks is second nature to me, you know. But I've always been wanting to help, you know, and do what I can. I've volunteered at different fires in Burlington and, you know, stuff like that. So just willingness to help.
thank you.
Cool, thank you.
We appreciate your effort.
Roll call.
Knightmeyer,
Aye.
Lees,
Aye.
Young,
Aye.
Newberry,
Aye.
Crowner.
Aye.
Motion carried. Now that you're on, did they tell you that you have to shave?
Really?
Well, I was
For the
saying
mask
that, Hans.
Air packs.
I love spoiling them with that.
So you can't get, yeah,
Can't get a
gotcha.
seal.
Gotcha, can't get a seal. Cool.
All right. I like doing that to guys. Item number 6 is to consider pay request number 8 in the amount of $485,450, and number 9 in the amount of $434,197.50 from Boomerang for work completed on the Mount Pleasant Water Tower and Booster Station.
So moved.
Support.
Motion with support. Any discussion? Roll call.
Lees,
Aye.
Young,
Aye.
Newberry,
Aye.
Crowner,
Aye.
Knightmeyer.
Aye.
Motion carried. Item number 7 is consider pay request number 2 from Hickey Contracting for work completed on the Wheeler, Pennington, Ballard Curve Improvement Projects in the amount of $3,557.94.
So moved.
Support.
Motion with support. Any discussion? Roll call.
Young,
Aye.
Newberry,
Aye.
Crowner,
Aye.
Knightmeyer.
Aye.
Lees.
Aye.
Motion carried. Item number 8 is to consider resolution accepting the Wheeler and Pennington Ballard Curve Improvement Project and authorizing the release of the retainage to Hickey Contracting, which is their pay request number 3 in the amount of $2,524.01.
So moved.
Motion with support. Any discussion? Roll call.
Where I left off. Sorry. Newberry,
Aye.
Crowner,
Aye.
Knightmeyer.
Aye.
Lees,
Aye.
Young.
Aye.
Motion carried. Item number 9 is to consider a resolution awarding the bid for the Mount Pleasant Street Resurfacing Project, Phase 2, Gear Avenue, west of Highway 34 interchange. And the state received these bids, and they are okay with the low bid from Norris Paving and Asphalt in the amount of $720,247.86. The other one was from Miller Paving, and it was for $790,991.73. The engineer's estimate was, for this project, was $947,000, so it came in well under the estimate.
Did we get any idea why it came in so far under?
It probably has to do with the, the amount, what each different line item is. The asphalt might be cheaper, the dirt work might be cheaper. See, we don't get to see that bid. because the state received that. But once you approve this, then they'll send us the,
Well,
Nice of them.
yeah,
it's,
the bid
it's
tabs
federal
aren't-
money.
the bid tabs aren't public information with this new process until after the contract is awarded and approved by DOT, and then the bid tabs become public. Our engineer has reviewed them and found them to be appropriate. DOT has reviewed them and found them to be appropriate, and that the low bidder bid was appropriate as well. The city has two options. One is to award the contract. Option number two is to reject all bids.
Would you say reject all bids?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
I don't really like this new process, but it is what it is, and this is the Stbg swap funds that the city was awarded, so.
Have we worked with Norris before?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
I motion that we accept the Norris bid of $720,247.
Support.
Motion with support. Any discussion? Roll call.
Crowner,
Aye.
Hightmeyer,
Aye.
Lees,
Aye.
Young,
Aye.
Newberry.
Aye.
Motion carried. Item number 10 is consider resolution authorizing the filing of an application for STBG funding for the Phase 3 of the Mount Pleasant Street Resurfacing project. Now, this would just, no, that's not, yeah, that's to get the thing into the system.
Applications are due December 31st. I have the preliminary application. I'm just waiting on a couple photographs from Matt Walker. Submit this to regional planning. This is for funding in 2026. There's about $1.135 million available to cities in 2026. It's a competitive award. This time around, however, it has potential to be 100% funding for the project. This would take it out to sunset. To take it all the way out to the truck stop and about 600 feet beyond is about 2.1 million and change. So the need to divide this into two phases. So again, funding would not be available potentially until 2026. Not that we can't look for other funding, but it would be 100% funding, so it's prudent to apply for the funding.
And I think by that time, that road will probably need some resurfacing.
I motion to approve the filing of the application.
I second.
Motion with support. Any further discussion? Roll call.
Hightmeyer,
Aye.
Lees,
Aye.
Young,
Aye.
Newberry,
Aye.
Crowner.
Aye.
Motion carried. Item number 11 is to discuss the 2022 general obligation debt and bonding. Greg, you can.
Certainly.
welcome.
As I noted earlier, this is simply to ensure that we, tonight is just a discussion, there's no action required tonight. Maggie did include a schedule in the packet to give you an indication of the process. That's on page 88 of your packet. And again, this item will continue during the budget process. And council will have an opportunity to make or narrow this amount down or determine exactly what, if anything, will be bonded. Originally, this was strictly for the city's share of the project that was just approved. And Maggie has outlined the process for the bond and issuance of bond proceeds, again on page 88. And during the budget process, we'll talk about these these projects and how the city council wishes to proceed with funding of any potential projects, whether that be GO debt for a particular project, whether that be GO debt with funded with TIF, whether that be a local note, and there are other options as well, or whether we proceed with one of the projects or not proceed with one of those projects. As I mentioned, there will be a closed session at the January 5th meeting as well to discuss some of these things as well as during the budget process. You're not committed to anything tonight, obviously, because there's no action. You're not committed to anything on the January 5th meeting. We're simply setting a date for a public hearing for a potential bond of $1 million, and then we'll have the opportunity to go through additional meetings and discussions to determine exactly what that amount will be. But at a minimum, we will need to fund the city's portion of the Mount Pleasant Street project in some way, shape, or form. And then that will either be GO debt or GO debt funded with TIF at a minimum.
Any questions or comments? All right. Go to item number 12, which is to consider resolution providing for a notice of a hearing on proposed amendment to the revitalization plan for the Westmoreland Urban Revitalization Area, tax abatements, and that's just to set the public hearing for January 19th of 2022.
So moved.
Motion with support. Any discussion? Roll call.
Young,
Aye.
Newberry,
Aye.
Crowner,
Aye.
Knightmeyer,
Aye.
Leeds.
Aye.
Motion carried. Anyone having old business? Anyone wishing to address the council on matters we did discuss or didn't discuss tonight? And this is Royce's last meeting. I'll let you make the motion to adjourn.
For the last time, make a motion, we adjourn.
Support.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Meeting's adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.